Yeah, hello and welcome to another update video about Solana. Solana holding just below 140 US dollars. So we're going to take a look at where are the next resistance and support levels. Is Solana getting exhausted? Can we expect a retracement? And if there will be a retracement, how far could it be? So obviously I can only give you a momentary snapshot of the chart. If something happens in an hour or so, I can't always update you, unfortunately, but this is a momentary snapshot of the chart and how I currently see the market and how I currently see the Solana chart. So you can see, which was very, very good, that Solana obviously fulfilled the requirements, the minimum requirements for a correction, in that it came into this target area here between the 88.7% FIB level and the 61.8% FIB level. Typically, I usually for the altcoins have defined as target areas for the current correction or for the correction that happened in the last few weeks and months, the area between the 88.7% FIB level and the 78.6. But the Solana one started higher because the wave A was much higher. Yeah, so it didn't really have a significant wave A low and then a wave B high. No, it was a pretty small correction. Okay, so a pretty small wave A, and therefore also the wave C. So you always get in a correction your wave A, B, C. So also the wave C cannot come down too much usually, right? But still, the $55-56 level, it's not on the off the table yet. That is still a low that we could see theoretically. So it's not off the table. But I told you before in videos that Solana, given that it broke through key levels, for example, here the $120 level we had, or 122, now even 130, that it gets much more likely that the low is already in for Solana. I think a level that can really confirm that for us would be that $158 US level that you can see here on the chart, or basically that zone here between 100 and let's say between starting actually at $150 going all the way up to 161, the 38.2% Fibonacci retracement level. Down here in that correction, by the way, Solana also broke out of that descending wedge. The descending wedge, typically a trend reversal pattern, potential reversal pattern, and when it then broke out of it, we saw some volume come in. We also broke above the 50-day moving average. Solana exited to the target area and is now climbing pretty much at the moment in a straight line. At least it looks like that on the daily chart here on that ascending trend line. And I mentioned to you, as long as we are above that ascending trend line, we are going to reach this target area here, or this, not target area necessarily, but this this next resistance area. It is a zone of resistance starting at $150. That is the 200-day moving average. We have seen various other cryptos are struggling currently with that level at $150 US. And Solana is going to get there soon, in my opinion. Here we had the 143 or 144 US level that was reached yesterday in yesterday's candle. We've then seen the bears push the price all the way down to the trend line again yesterday. But in today's candle, we've made it again above that trend line. So if we take a look on the 4-hour chart, and on the 4-hour, I need to adjust here the trend line slightly. But I think, and I would need to double check the video from yesterday, but I think yesterday in the video I told you that we can certainly see another pullback to the trend line, and that is exactly what happened. And that's also very healthy. And why? Because as you can see here, we're climbing higher. Yeah, making higher highs, higher lows. And with that latest push to $144 and that retracement afterwards, what we did, we retested that $130 US level. And the $130 level was a previous resistance here and support as well. Here we had an area of trade here at $130. So that is pretty healthy for the price, because you are breaking resistance here, or we did do that. And now we are retesting, flipping basically previous resistance for support, which is very important for the structure because it implements a new support level, a more recent previous support level. So it's good. It confirms that support and is good for the price. And if we now see volume and we can get above that previous rejection point, certainly above 138, 139, but then also the next one is 143. That is that peak here, yeah, on the 4-hour chart, just a wick. Then we can get to $150 but this will be an important resistance zone. It starts at 150, and then what you can see here, why is it important? Well, you can see before we had, so first of all, that $161 level, which is the upper resistance level of that zone, is the 38.2% FIB level. Then also in that area, we had here previous resistance and support various times here on the chart. So it's a very important level, and I think Solana will struggle to push through it. If we then get a retest, what could happen? So let's say we can push higher, we break those previous rejection points, get to the 200-day moving average, then we could see a turnaround. I'm not saying we will. We need to see how does the price react to that resistance level. That is pretty much impossible to predict. What is the price going to do when we reach it? I mean, certainly Solana has the possibility to break it. We've seen before how Solana just runs through important resistance levels without caring. But at some point you just need to see a retracement, and that could take us down again, for example, to the $130 level. Absolutely possible. If we then hold that, we can build more strength to push through this level again. So this is the next level I'm watching out for. You can see we're already very briefly or not far away from that resistance level. But as long as we are staying above the ascending trend line, I think we are continuing that move towards the the $150 level. On the 4-hour chart, we saw that bearish divergence here forming. It is now already moving around. So you've seen here these small bearish divergences previously when we touch the trend line again, but it's already turning around like the last few times and getting back probably. So we could see that bullish crossover coming here very soon. As you can see here on the hourly chart, we already do that. So you're already seeing here that bullish crossover on the MACD, indicating that we could push now higher again. Yeah, that we have sort of stopped that temporary downtrend, short-term downtrend to that trend line, so that pullback. The MACD here is continuing to push higher on the daily. So here is continuous daily upward momentum. Now, when we see that changing, so, you know, anybody who's in there for a short-term trade, I'm not able to tell you when to take profits. That's entirely up to you in a short-term trade. But in my opinion, you know, if we break that trend line to the downside and we see a decreasing momentum, for example, on the daily, that would be a warning sign. At the moment, though, we are just pushing higher here on the daily RSI as well. We're now getting into critical territory, as I said before. But I also told you before that we made it all the way up to 90 on the RSI. We're currently only at below 80. And Solana managed to hold that for various days, for nearly a month actually. So just because we're in the overbought range doesn't mean we have to correct down immediately, but it means we are getting overheated. And that wick here certainly is a first warning sign, but again, we headed down here as well and continued to climb higher. So it's always a confluence of factors that we're looking at here for a trend change. At the moment, I can't see a trend change yet. We are continuing to push higher, but of course, if anything on the chart changes, for example, a bearish crossover on the MACD, a trend line gets broken to the downside, something like that, but we haven't seen it yet. We are still pushing higher, but now Solana needs to push above that previous rejection point here, certainly at $138, $139 that we see here on the hourly chart. So that level here, and it looks currently to me that we broke this one here. Yeah, you can see it here. We broke this one, and we're currently retesting it exactly here. So if this one holds above $137, then I think the next step will be to reach here this previous high, yeah, and that can go all the way up to $143.50. That is so important to break above that, and then it can take us all the way up to the 200-day moving average. Yeah, so this is a temporary uptrend. There will be a rejection at some point. When that will be, I can't tell you. We need to watch the chart closely for that. But all these fractals here and this move up, they look fairly similar. Yeah, and it is not getting exhausted. So we're not seeing here any sort of potential trigger. We've seen here on the 1 hour chart 3 bearish divergences. So you see here we pushed higher, made higher highs, but all the time here in all these 3 peaks you see bearish divergences. But it was only on the hourly, and after that you saw your pullback to the trend line. Now again, that pullback for the trend line is over, and I think we could be seeing here the next breakout very shortly, as we did it here and here as well, when you broke above the previous rejection point. So it will be a very interesting day, I think, for Solana. But as I said, you know, we can only move so long on this trend line. At some point, you're going to break it to the downside. At the moment, we're holding it, but it's very important now in the short term to pay close attention to that trend line, especially as we're getting exhausted on the daily chart with that high RSI on the daily. It's a first warning sign, but the MACD is still pushing higher, so indicating here there is still further upside potential. So that's my view here about Solana. Hopefully you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then check out the channel membership. Thank you. Bye-bye.